You know, this week we are reviewing some films, and it made me remember TBS. Do you remember TBS? Maybe I can't say it for contractual reasons. Am I allowed to say it?
I think you can. Yeah, you can say it.
I mean, I feel like when I was a kid, on Sunday afternoons, when it's raining outside and you're like, I'll just see what's on TV. I'm a kid. Do what I want. No responsibilities. And I feel like TBS had, obviously, in hindsight, the rights for like a select handful of films, like the same half dozen or 5 or so. And, you know, there's some cyclical element to it where it's like, oh, it's this kind of Sunday because this movie's on again. And I feel like some of the votes this week fell into that category of like, oh, it's this movie that used to be on TBS all the time. So I had huge deja vu vibes with TBS this week. And I just had to share that.
Okay.
I really did.
And you feel better now?
I do.
Good.
I got a giggle out of it.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome to the Movie Men Podcast. I am Peter. That is Brady. And we are back to voting. We are doing our yearly back in time votes. We get some options. Some are from Brady, some are from me, some are from patron supporters. And we put the votes out and people have their say. And we're here again to talk about a movie that won the vote. And it's True Lies.
Yeah, honestly. I had never seen this movie before.
Really? I am actually shocked by that. I'm surprised Carl Eastman never showed it to you.
He may have tried.
Yeah.
Or insisted, but I resisted. No, I didn't even know what I was going into. I didn't know what it was about. I had no clue. I knew of it. I saw I was familiar with the cover. The DVD cover and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect other than Arnold. I didn't know who was in it. I didn't really know the genre, right? I just assumed, it's like an action.
Sure.
It's an action film.
Yep.
And yeah, and because I thought it was just a 90s action movie starring Arnold, I wasn't really stoked going into it. Not because there's anything wrong with Arnold or 90s action films. It's just not my...
Yeah, cup of tea.
It's not the thing that I gravitate towards, right? Now, every so often I find I adored The Rock. I thought The Rock was great.
Sure.
But I was like, I don't know if it's just political stuff and gunfights and car chases and stuff then I'm like, I don't know if he's just some cop or something. Then it's I don't know if I'm into it. Do you have trivia?
I do. And before I do, I'll peel the window back. I do want to lap back and talk about the movies that were voting options for a specific reason. But we did have some commonality, obviously, the Arnold versus Nicolas Cage. And it's interesting. It's just interesting in Hollywood, and nothing's changed, where actors will have these cyclical spouts where they'll just have 3 movies come out in a year and a half. And, it's just wild that in one calendar year, these 2 mega movie stars had at least two movies coming out each. But anyway, the voting options were It Could Happen to You, Nicolas Cage, TBS Special, YOLO, Guarding Tess, Nicolas Cage, Junior. Junior is the reason I'm bringing this up. Junior, to me, is OG Movie Men, because back when the show was in its infancy, when we did What You Watched, and it forced you and I to watch a movie that the other recommended, Junior was one of the very first. It was, if it wasn't the first, it was within the first handful of movies that you made me watch. And I just have I remembered enjoying it, so I would have been enjoying watching it again and breaking it down and getting a kick out of it and getting some nostalgia from it. But it did not win, and so that is where we are. So Junior was the third option, and obviously True Lies rounds it out, and here we are with True Lies.
Yeah. So initial impressions? Oh no, you have trivia.
Trivia. Yeah, brief.
Let's do trivia.
Yeah. So a couple tidbits first. Production-wise, James Cameron, LOL, obviously. I was shocked when I saw his name come across the screen.
Wait. You have no trivia music? What is... You're just...
Well...
I did... listen, I did task you.
Yes.
I did task you with finding new trivia music. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. I'm not convinced I have what I want to be the new trivia music.
But you've been looking?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, then so hold off. Because there's no point in doing it for the sake of doing it. Hold off until it's just right.
It's just a different, it's a new sound. So if you want the new sound, I can do the new sound.
I'm curious. Can I? And I'll give you feedback.
It's not. It's a placeholder. So don't. You can't.
Okay. Yeah.
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of I don't know, whatever network Mr. Rogers was on prior to, the network advertising itself type of thing.
This is PBS.
Yeah, PBS. That's what it was.
Buy this bag and we'll keep putting on shows on TV.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I'll keep looking.
I definitely will. Production. James Cameron was involved with this. And I
also didn't know until I watched.
I was just shocked. When that name came across the screen, I was shocked. But it's wild. So this film cost over $100 million to produce, and it was the first film with a production budget over $100 million, apparently. And there was a sequel, fleshed out to a degree. There was a script. The actors agreed to come back. There were different times, so they were kind of rounding up the wagons, and then, it got pushed back, postponed. But it seemed like there was definitely some interest because it was a successful film and everyone was interested in coming back. And then finally what kind of put the nail in it and made it never return again was sadly 9/11. Just because this is a film that deals with different terrorist subplots and whatnot. I guess just elements of the sequel were done in a way where, or at least written in a way where they just didn't feel comfortable producing and releasing such a film in the post 9/11 era. So James Cameron just said, terrorism is, something that's no longer taken lightly if it ever was, but especially since 9/11. So it was just something that when the world changed in 9/11, there just wasn't an atmosphere for it. And so the sequel never came about.
So I did read that because when this movie ended, I thought to myself, man, they set this up perfectly for a sequel.
Right.
A sequel that I would watch.
Sure.
I'd be I would be curious. And it's interesting that was because 9/11 had that effect on many things.
Oh, yeah.
But it had the opposite effect on a lot of things too. Kiefer Sutherland in 24.
Yes.
That show rode on the coattails of 9/11. It was that we were now so aware of terrorism.
Yeah, it's weird that, some things it just halted and some things it just perpetuated. It's weird.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. My question for you, simple. Yes or no? Did True Lies crack the top 3 of worldwide grossing films in 1994?
Oh, geez. Okay, you've got James Cameron, who at this point has done Terminator 2, so he's big. Mm-hmm. Arnold obviously is big.
He is. Yeah.
Is Bill Paxton big at this point?
He's not insignificant, but I don't think people are buying tickets to see him in a
pre-Twister, it's pre-Titanic, it's Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, is big. Tom Arnold is well known, but not necessarily for, he's not Oscar bait. Top 3.
And I mean, for context, for competition that year, you've got Lion King, you've got Forrest Gump, You've got The Mask. You've got The Flintstones. You've got Dumb and Dumber. You've got Four Weddings and a Funeral. Like, you've got... I think
Dumb and Dumber did really well.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, it did. Okay. And I'm going to say that because I think you're trying to talk me out of saying yes by telling me all these other great things.
But when I say that, there was also a lot of crap movies that came out in 94
yes.
as well.
I'm saying
there was the film adaptation of the toaster manual that you have. So there's a lot of things that it could have beat out.
Yeah, which had a way overblown budget. But so I'm going to say yes.
It did. It made it in number 3. So Lion King and Forrest Gump blew it away. Like, Forrest Gump doubled True Lies, but still, top 3 surprised me. Because when I was aware of this title and I went, okay, Arnold, yes, okay. And when I look at the other things that came out that year, like Interview with a Vampire with Tom Cruise and Dumb and Dumber and Speed and the Flintstones and, I guess just... For the Flintstones, I'm going to leave that one out. Like, what it is. I don't even...
No, man. Flintstones had Rick Moranis and John Goodman. And
I guess it's been a while. But I guess my point is there's a lot of, coinage where when I list some of these films that they're bringing in the bucks. And I guess I was just shocked. I wouldn't have never pegged this as a top 3 of the year. But it definitely was. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious who directed the. Okay, no one really significant directed the Flintstones. I was just wondering if it was like a, but yeah, Rosie O'Donnell was in it. Like, yeah, Elizabeth Taylor, Halle Berry. The 1994 Flintstones is nothing to be scoffed at.
Interesting.
Have you seen it?
Not since childhood. I actually, and I didn't. It's not like I even grew up with it. It was one of those films that, again, when you didn't own the VHS, you didn't have access to it. So I think I literally watched it at like a cousin's birthday party, and so I remember vague memories of it, but nothing in particular.
I feel like I grew up with the live action Flintstones more than I grew up with the actual Flintstones.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite for sure.
With the exception of like a couple of like the Christmas specials.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Right. Because around Christmas, you watch like the Christmas everything, right?
Yep.
Like I didn't grow up watching Garfield, but I've seen the Garfield Christmas special.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's just like, yeah. But Flintstones, Jetsons, like all that Hanna-Barbera stuff, I didn't grow up. Yogi Bear, I didn't grow up with any of that. Yeah. We were melting army men with magnifying glasses and building meth pipes out behind the right. Like it was a different time.
Sure was. Well, initial impressions.
Like I said, I went into it with zero expectations. And those expectations were almost instantly subverted. Like, yeah. Everything with the opening sequence where I was like, this is like the movie starts and I'm sitting there thinking, did we miss a James Bond movie when we did our 007 series? Because he's like wearing the suit and he's like dancing with the ladies. And I don't know if it's the opening sequence, but at one point in this movie, there's like guys on skis with machine guns. I'm like, this is a 007 ripoff if I've ever seen one. Yeah. But it was funny. It was funny almost from the get-go. And almost like quickly loses a lot of like there are some big action sequences, but it's not an overly action heavy or like gunfight heavy movie. A lot of it is built into the comedy. And like I said, I went into this having no idea that it was a comedy or that there were any comedic aspects to it. I really liked this movie so much so that like I said, I looked up and I'm like, I feel like they set this up for the sequel. Please let there be a sequel.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. But yeah, no, everything from Bill Paxton's character, who you love to hate.
What a sleazeball.
Oh my gosh.
Some of the references he said too, I just didn't even understand, but.
So stuff like that, Arnold just being Arnold, like, I don't know how you top Arnold on a horse in an elevator. Like, that was, it's really funny. It's well written, and it's questionable at times. Like when he's I don't know, when he's doing the whole stuff around like his cheating, the wife who he thinks is cheating on him, and he has her like kidnapped and stuff, and they're in that room, and the interrogation thing, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a little, a little bit of an abuse of your power, but at the same time, like, I don't know, you're pretty hurt. But then the whole hotel thing, I was like, okay, pal. Like, if she wasn't cheating on you before, you've given her every reason to now. But no, it's good. And I think that this is Arnold this is his element. I was thinking about it, I was watching it, and yeah, this True Lies, Kindergarten Cop, Jingle All the Way, kind of, because he's funny. He is genuinely funny, and not just like, oh, it's funny because he has an accent and he's foreign. No, he's like, his comedy sensibilities are on point. And so he can bring the action, he can bring the laughs, and when he's in a movie that marries the two of them together, he is just nonstop success. And I think that this is a prime example of that. So, what are your first impressions?
You hit on something that I definitely am going to round right back to once we do initial or are finished with initial impressions. But yeah, I had no knowledge of this film, and going into it, and then when I watched it, I feel that it's a tale of two films for me. So, first half, completely unexpected, and I would say incredibly unique. You've got these comedic gold that's very light, and I don't know, there's some overlap, and this is why I got the reference. In some ways, it's out of left field. I got huge Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes from this. Obviously, slightly different, but you've got this obviously secret agent power dynamics, relationship dynamics, things that are overlapping between work and personal life. And so you've just got this bleeding into each other done in a light way. And so I think just when this first half had that, like, I thought it was comedic gold, obviously entertaining. I found it genuinely entertaining, and just like, I just couldn't get enough of this, like, family life bleeding into his work life and vice versa, and the spy dynamic, and, stopping in front of his house and his coworker being, all right, here's your keys, here's your gift for your kids. Remember, you've got soccer practice at, like, just this.
Put your wedding ring back on.
Put your wedding ring on. He's getting a debriefing just for getting back into normal everyday life. So I just loved it. I loved everything about the 90s lifestyle. You know me and my 90s nostalgia, balancing of the both worlds. And, it gets a little hokey when he starts interrogating her. It's like, okay, this is kind of gray area. And then in the hotel room scene, it's like, okay, you've crossed the line here. This is too far. But even still, to the end of just comedically using agency resources inappropriately, and just like the banter between him and his partner, it all works to the same goal of just being entertained. So I couldn't get enough of it. And then for me, about halfway through the film, then it just really hit a pacing and tone shift, and I really didn't like the second half. So I found it kind of mundane, forgettable, hollow. Some of the action, I was like, okay, I get it. He's the hero to his husband, and things are going on, and just it was again a comedy. So like when he's like walking around and shooting in both directions, and just like crazy farcical action is going on. I get it. It's part and parcel with what's going on. But just after a while, I got numb to it. I'm like, okay, let's move along. Let's get back to like the gold that made this film in the first half. And you don't really return to that as much. You just get some of these action sequences, and you get hints of it, when you get like a seagull teetering on the front of this truck, and then it tips over and it explodes. So you get hints of it, but it's just not very edge of your seat worthy as far as action goes, and then it's also not comedic. So it to me, it just kind of gets kind of pointless, gratuitous violence. That's, I'm not getting my breath taken away, and it's not as funny as the first half. So I feel like it definitely went off a cliff so far. So it's a tale of like adoring a film, and then it kind of wore off for me. So that's kind of my initial impression. But where I want to take this, and I want to ask you, and I feel like Carl will start yelling into his listening device with an answer of his own because he's an Arnold fan. But when I was trying to ask the question when I watched this film, is Arnold a good actor? Because I feel like like many people, maybe make him the butt of their jokes where, hey, he's Arnold, he's in a movie because he's big, he's ripped, he's famous. But I did truly want to ask, is he a good actor in this film? And part of that question, I guess, is just, what is Arnold's MO? Because I think I always assumed it was things like Predator, which I've seen, or things like Terminator, which I haven't seen, but I'm aware of like the kind of tone he plays in that film. So I always knew Jingle All the Way was an outlier to those things. But I'm just curious, like, Brady, what is his MO? Like, when I saw this film, which is like comedy laced and lighthearted and actiony, and that just surprised me. So if that's his MO, I just didn't realize that. And now that I'm seeing, like, I've seen Kindergarten Cop, and now that I've seen True Lies, I'm like, oh, is there a aspect of Arnold that I've just been totally oblivious to, that I thought it was just kind of the Predator things where it's like serious, intense? And I'm just curious, like, what is Arnold's MO as it relates to him being a good actor or not? Like, what is he known for? Like, what should I be aware of?
I'm sorry, what's the question? No.
Like,
what is Arnold's MO?
Yeah, like what?
I don't know. I think a lot of things, but first and foremost, like, the bodybuilding action star for sure, right?
Sure.
So like Terminator and Predator and what's the one with the where they put him in the machine and then they did a Total Recall, right?
Oh,
so like
okay.
Stuff like that. But then I think what happened was, you have him in all these like crazy over the top action films. And then somewhere at some point, someone must have realized, oh, maybe he can also act. Like maybe we don't just need him to be this like brute force, whatever. And then you start getting things like Twins and Junior and
True.
Kindergarten Cop and True Lies and Jingle All the Way and stuff like that, where he's got a little more, not necessarily autonomy, but like he's got a little more opportunity to show some range. And so his MO, I don't like, that's hard to pin down. But like I said, I think that this is prime Arnold, is when you put him in a position where he's able to be funny while also kicking ass. Which
I think in this new light, I think I have a new appreciation for Arnold. Because
as you should.
As I should. I think I've always just labeled him as just who he is, and he's in movies and that's just kind of the extent of it. But he is comedic in this film. He is the very nature of this film. Like he helps propel it forward. So by that merit, he is a good actor. Right?
Oh yeah, and I don't think this film would work near as well with anybody else.
Sure. Or it definitely wouldn't have the same desired outcome. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I wonder if Carl will be satisfied with what we just said.
I think Arnold's a good. So to answer the other question that was kind of in there somewhere, I do think he's a good actor.
Okay.
I don't think you'll ever give Arnold an Oscar. I don't think just because that's not really his type of role. Like, I don't think you're going to put him in a super dramatic, Oscar bait movie. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think, not because you couldn't, but just because you're not then tapping into his full potential. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not tapping into, like it's weird to say, but he's almost better than Oscar movies. Huh. Like he's so good at what he does. He fits that role of comedic action so well, that going in doing an Oscar bait movie would almost be beneath him in some ways. I
think there's just always actors have individual skill sets, and maybe the skill set that he has doesn't always align with the skill sets that are going to get you an Oscar. And just with the way that Oscars are awarded and not awarded, that's not an insult. I'm just,
Oh, I'm just trying to kiss ass with Carl right now. Oh. That's okay. All I'm doing.
I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just saying he does have a good skill set.
Yeah.
Where? Go ahead.
Well, there's a moment in this movie that I love so much that not only is it my favorite moment in the movie, but it probably cracks like my top 10 made me laugh the hardest out of any movie I've ever seen.
What?
Yeah. And it's in the opening scene, first act.
Sure.
When he's escaping, right? Mm-hmm. His whole plan is, I'm just going to walk out. I'll just walk out the front door.
Yep.
And he's getting chased by these dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And he turns around and two dogs lunge at him at the same time, and he just like bashes their heads together and says, "Stay." And then keeps going. And I was like, that is amazing. Like, and I was like, I don't know if it's bad that I'm laughing so hard at this. Like, obviously no dogs were harmed in the filming of the movie or whatever.
It was 1994, so we can't say that for sure.
I don't. They didn't actually bash the heads of two dogs together.
We don't know that.
But I don't know. I was just like, that is so badass, and it's so like it just tied so well into the whole like James Bond-esque. Like it was so smooth and so perfect and flawless. Just this whack, stay, and then kept walking. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
Which he said stay, right? Like he said that to him?
Yeah, he says stay.
So which is something like this movie was filled with one-liners. Again, like James Bond, now that you mention it. Like when he's in the bathroom at the mall and has the fight with the one henchman and then ends him off. And I think the henchman's head is in a urinal. Yeah. And he just walks away and he says, "Here, cool off." Like there were just so many one-liners.
Or when he fires the guy from the rocket and he's like, "You're fired."
Yes.
Yeah, it was so good.
Oh man.
And the other hilarious moment to me, just because of the insanity, just the bizarreness of it, is when they're raiding Bill Paxton's trailer and he uses thermite to like melt the side of the trailer off. Like instead of just kicking in the door, they use thermite to like cut off the end of the trailer. Like storm in. At which point, it's so funny because at which point Helen is probably thinking to herself, like there's a brief moment until she sees how Simon reacts and how cowardice and pathetic he is. There's a brief moment where all this is doing is validating Simon's story.
Yes.
Like, oh, there's like some serious espionage shit going on here.
He's for real. He's for real.
He's for real. And then as they're pulling him out, he's like, "Take her, leave me alone." Take her.
Oh man. And again, just that scene is just so amazing because it just embodies, it's like the thousands upon thousands of dollars that's being used of taxpayers' dollars just at this guy's discretion for his own personal issue. Oh man.
Yeah, we go from like, oh, don't you think it's a bad idea? Like, it breaks protocol to put an unauthorized tap on her phone to, we're going to bring in helicopters and tactical teams and like, you know, which the cojones on Helen in that scene, because she like knees a tactical guy in the nuts and starts like she can hold her own.
Oh yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, and she holds her own in the hotel bedroom when she like
kicks the shit out of Arnold.
Yeah.
No, it's funny.
It is funny, and you know what? It was the '90s, so I think, I mean, I don't want to get too political or too inappropriate here, but like police definitely, like, there weren't the rules and regulations that there are. So I think the fact that someone was misusing funds, you know, it probably isn't that too far from the truth to some degree.
And the thing about it being the 90s is, you know, and I noticed this all throughout, like, this changes as the action gets more crazy. Like, once there's, you know, like the hover jet thing and stuff like that. But for a lot of this movie, I'm just sitting at it, watching it going, they don't make movies like this anymore. Nowadays, this would all be CGI and it wouldn't be that convincing. Right? So, but like the washroom fighting scene, right? Like, they've got like squibs in the wall that are blowing so that there's bullet holes and there's real sparks coming down from the, like, and it's just like, they're actually blowing things up that need to be blown up. And like, it's so much of it was just like such a callback to practical movie making. And it made it feel so real and so believable and so convincing that I really admired that. And it's just such it's such a test to the 90s and how we've lost some of that magic of movie making now. Yeah.
Peripheral actors in this movie, hit or miss for me. You know, I love me some Charlton Heston. He's one of those classic Hollywood actors in some great films. And when I saw his name roll in the credits, I got a little excited. I'm like, hey, this could be fun. And he was very meh. I felt he was very underused.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sleazy Bill Paxton, you know what? That was well done. It was entertaining. It was funny. You know, there was that side kind of car sequence where he imagines punching him in the face and knocking him out, and it's just so instantaneous, so strong as from Arnold. And you know, there were just moments like that where I just laughed out loud. And he makes a return in the ending credits. So I got a kick out of Bill Paxton. But yeah, I think just with the overlap with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think the second half of this film, and this is where the biggest critique comes from, is the second half. I just wanted a bit more relational stuff going on, you know, and I would have reworked it a lot, but I think I would have been appeased with just a couple small things. Like in the torture scene, have a bit more interpersonal conversation going on, you know, where, I don't know, Jamie Lee Curtis says, hey honey, like, why didn't you tell me this? Or, you know, like just some aspects of the relational aspects, which is more heartwarming, and the comedy coming back into play. Like, I think I just wanted more of that coming into it versus just kind of dropping everything and becoming an action element. And I think there would have been a lot of fuel there just because you've got a couple that's kind of grown apart, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, aside from him keeping his career secret, they're obviously split up enough apart that she does some things on the side, not maliciously, but just out of, you know, living her own life because there's things that just aren't being met in her life. And so, you know, I think there just could have been some touch points where you say, hey honey, like what happened to us, or what's going on with this, or, you know, I think there could have been a lot more to just round out the second half of the film where, you know, it's almost like in the second half of the film, they're like, oh crap, we forgot this was about terrorists, and let's just connect some dots, and we don't have any time for more relational things. So that would be my only main critique.
Yeah. Also, what is, like, and I don't know if this is just a 90s thing, but like, what is this agency that within a year she's no longer a law clerk. She's an operative who's
right.
Like, what is the vetting process? What is the like? Is this her first mission? I don't think so.
It's the 90s.
It became very Spy Kids at that point, where it was just
Right.
like, all right, we're on, and it was like, it's go time.
Yeah.
Call the babysitter because mommy and daddy have to go do some secret operation.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was just, which again, like, it was silly and it was over the top and farcical, but it didn't detract from it for me because I was still like,
Yeah.
I want a sequel. Like, you've just set up a dynamic now that I'm game for and I want to see more of.
For sure. I think that's about all I need to cover. Anything else that you wanted to cover with this film?
Just that I was so pleasantly surprised.
You know what? I was
genuinely bummed out that there's no sequel.
Yeah.
That's it. That I can't, but here's the thing though. Like, Bill Paxton's gone, but I don't know that you'd really bring his character back.
Probably
right?
not.
Like, I don't know that you would, like, he would feel just kind of shoehorned in a lot of ways if you brought him back. But Tom Arnold's still alive. Arnold's still alive and acting.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is still alive and acting.
Yeah.
And we're living in an era where we're going back and doing sequels to things like 20 years later. I don't know. I'd be game.
I think the ship has sailed. I think the ship's in another port, in my opinion. Like, you lose the part of me of at least why I enjoyed it was the nostalgic 90s element. So I would be wanting to throw in a sequel into the DVD player that was from, 1997 or 2002 or something,
Okay. Back up.
Yeah.
For a second here.
Please.
If this film came out tomorrow, the sequel came out tomorrow, right?
Yep.
There would be an 8-year smaller gap than between the two Top Gun movies.
Oh, night and day difference.
You wouldn't go see, so if True Lies 2 came out tomorrow, you wouldn't go see it in a theater?
No, not a chance. I'd watch it. I would watch it, but not in theater.
Not in theaters.
I mean, we're talking about very different things, very different theater movie going experiences and very different plot continuation aspects. Right?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Apples and oranges.
Well, I'll go with Carl because I know Carl would go.
Listen. Don't delete me on your phone. I'll make an evening out of it.
I'll be the one that goes and feels up Carl during a movie in the theater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 0 to 10, sir. Where do you place True Lies? Numero 1.
I give the first half an 8 out of 10.
Can't. No, don't be breaking things. You got to average it then. Take your first half and your second half and average it.
Let me finish, my friend. Gave the first half an 8 out of 10. I gave the second half a 4 out of 10. So I'm meeting in the middle. I gave this movie a 6 out of 10. It's definitely respectable. Definitely enjoyed it. Over the halfway mark of a 5. So 6 is respectable.
6 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah. On my scale of how much effort, it just needs to be like one of those streaming sites or a friend lends you it on DVD, which is what happened in this case. So don't need
What friend lended it to you?
Carl. Matthew. Elizabeth Eastman.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You struggled with the word Carl there.
Carl.
Like if I know you're dedicated to the show, but if you thought you were having a stroke, we would stop, right? And you would.
The show must go on.
The show must. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap things up quickly then, so you can seek medical attention.
What did you give it out of 10?
I give it a 7.9. Yeah, not quite an 8.
Respectable. Yep.
Not quite an 8. But and not something that I feel like I watched it on Amazon Prime. And so not something that I feel like I need to own on Blu-ray or anything. But definitely something that something I would recommend. Like if I were at a hangout and people are like, oh, we need input. Like what movie are we going to watch? If I found out there were people there who hadn't seen it, I would recommend it. I would throw that name in.
That's fair. That's fair. You know what? This is a fun movie. I would absolutely watch this with a group again.
Yeah. What'd you watch in the last 2 months?
Well, before we get there, I'm going to hijack things. And I'm going to talk about the second place winner, Guarding Tess. 1, because friend of the show, Daphne, voted for it. And 2, this fell into that category of TBS Sunday movies. And so I couldn't pass up the opportunity to rewatch it and see what I thought of it again. So I watched the 1994 Guarding Tess. And you have not seen it. But just to bring you up to speed, bring the listener up to speed, Nicolas Cage plays a Secret Service agent, coincidentally. And in this case, he's looking after a former First Lady, and the two butt heads all the time. They're at each other's throats. Cage is at odds because he doesn't want to be wasting his career doing what he thinks is kind of mundane work. And this First Lady is just kind of a person set in her ways and also just an empty shell of herself. So the two, she's quite demanding and the two are butting heads. But I didn't mind this movie. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not the most amazing movie I've ever seen, but it was solid. And the reason I didn't give it a higher, it reminded me a lot of Driving Miss Daisy, which came out around 4 or 5 years prior to this. So if you're familiar with that, that is, not sure who plays the female lead, but Morgan Freeman plays a driver. And that movie was really fleshed out. And I just remember tearing up at the end of Driving Miss Daisy. And it was emotionally gripping, emotionally charged. Guarding Tess didn't get me to that quite level, but it had the framework for it. And for that, I give it kudos. The tension and the chemistry between the two main characters, Nicolas Cage himself, it's a respectable film. And like we talked about, is Arnold a good actor? Again, I was curious, is Nicolas Cage himself a good actor? And I'm leaning a bit towards no. Like, there were some scenes, and one specifically in Guarding Tess, where he's talking with the president on the phone at a diner, like at a payphone. And so it's just a scene where you don't hear or you don't see the president, you just see Nicolas Cage. And so it's just face acting. It's him reacting and giving a convincing scene. And you know what? To his credit, I thought it was great. I thought it was good. He had moments where he was good. And then there'd be other moments where he was just his usual Nicolas Cage self, where he has these manic outbursts that are almost comedic. But in the context of what is being said in the film, it's not a comedic moment. So you kind of raise your eyebrow a bit and go, this doesn't really gel. This doesn't really jive. So I am just so curious about the whole Nicolas Cage question, if he's a good actor or not. Because if you look at earlier in his career, he's got like Raising Arizona, these like really kind of good films that I go, okay, yeah, he's got this. And I'm still curious to watch the film he's won an Oscar in. And then Guarding Tess is somewhere in between. But then you do see National Treasure, and maybe it's just National Treasure being National Treasure, and it masks his kind of underperforming as an actor. But, he's got these peaks and valleys, I guess is my point. So I am no closer to saying Nicolas Cage is a good actor or not, but the needle was pointing a bit towards the no. But I still enjoyed it, and maybe it was just the sentimental aspect. So Guarding Tess, 1994, definitely has some heartwarming moments. Definitely I got a kick out of watching. Has some good framework, but doesn't quite make it as a Driving Miss Daisy 2.0. Doesn't reach that quite that level of emotional significance. So Guarding Tess, 6 out of 10.
We need to get to the bottom. We need to sit down and figure out a plan for how we're going to get to the bottom of whether or not Nicolas Cage is a good actor.
I don't know, because it used to be just an argument with you, because I used to just say, Brady, I feel the opposite of you. I don't think he's a good actor. But then there's sometimes like there's examples of films where either I think he's good in a film or he has good moments in a film. So I haven't shut the door completely on him being a good actor, but I'm not as sure as I was that he was bad, if that makes sense.
I guess. I mean, I'm also not firmly in the camp of he's a good actor.
Sure.
But I'm not in the camp of he's a bad actor. So I don't know. I think my curiosity to get to the bottom of this is just as strong as ever.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. We do need to get to the bottom of it. And it's a fun answer to dig into. But shout out to Daphne, friend of the show, guarding Tess. Glad she pointed me into that direction for that journey of reflection.
Heads or tails?
Tails?
He's a good actor.
Oh.
Apparently he's a good actor.
Well, yeah. What are the odds?
Yeah. 50-50. What'd you watch in the last little... It's been a while. It's been a long time since we've gotten around to talking about some of our recent viewing experiences.
Mm-hmm. It has been a while. And so I've made a point. I am not going to go through all the films that I've watched in this past while. I'm just going to chip at it bit by bit, week by week. And it's just a way to kind of casually get through things. First and foremost, this is the thing we're really worthy of talking about. I watched Top Gun Maverick again. I did it. I just had to.
Third time?
A third time I've seen it.
Like you went to the theater?
I did not. Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I purchased it for home release. And
okay.
Yeah. So
It's like, good Lord, sir.
I actually probably would have, but my wife hadn't seen it yet, so I was like, I know what we're doing tonight, watching Top Gun Maverick. And man,
did she like it?
She liked it.
I care more now about her review than I do yours.
Oh yeah, she was sitting, like she pulled her feet up onto the couch at a certain point, like when it got intense, and was wondering certain things when things were happening and when things weren't happening, and asking me what was going to happen here and what was going to happen there. So she was invested, and I after watching it 3 times, I still enjoy it. And I think way more positively about it than the first time I watched it. It still makes me emotional when it's supposed to. It still has me at the edge of my seat when it's supposed to. It still has some times where I'm giggling and laughing at it. Like, what an incredible film. You said this, it's his masterpiece, Tom Cruise, that is, and just the movie of 2022 until I'm proven otherwise.
Yeah. Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay. All right.
Without a doubt. Another film I watched in this past hiatus, I watched a 1983 film starring Tom Cruise, the classic Risky Business. I give it a 5 out of 10. You know, mainly because I'm still kind of on the Tom Cruise kick where, you know, if it was someone else, I may not have given it a score. It's kind of, I think, it's the 80s equivalent to somewhat of a raunch-com where this teenage boy, his parents are out for the weekend, so he hires a call girl and then kind of gets in a scheme with her to, like, make money with a bunch of high school kids and hosts parties. And
as you do.
As you do. So it's kind of a weird film. You know, 5 out of 10. I think I leaned heavy on the nostalgia of like being an 80s classic film and having Tom Cruise. The film itself wasn't too much to write home about. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I feel it's one of those movies that you need to watch if you're a film buff. And it has the classic iconic scene with Tom Cruise dancing around to some Bob Seger, and it's got some iconic moments, some iconic lines. So it was definitely an interesting view. And the last thing that I'll talk about is I fulfilled an oath and I watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Finally.
And I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Oh my gosh.
So I made some notes because I've got to make a comment here because, again, Carl Eastman stood in my place and guested on the show with you when it came out. So I appreciated Carl jumping in and his MCU background and the chemistry with Carl. But I agree with Carl with some things he said. I think we've jumped the shark. That is, you know, the content that MCU is pouring out. Maybe we need a break Maybe we need to take a breath. Maybe we need to ask where we're going. I do feel the MCU maybe has a bit of an identity crisis, and that was kind of the Multiverse of Madness was kind of the focal point of that for me. I do feel like I was disappointed that it was a continuation of WandaVision versus a continuation of Spider-Man. And I came to the conclusion that every single Doctor Strange cameo in the MCU is far greater than either of the Doctor Strange films. So yeah, I my problem with it, again, you speculated that it might be that it had horror elements and that's why I hate it. And I actually didn't mind it. Not my cup of tea, but that wasn't the undoing of it for me. It's definitely a weird tone for the MCU, I will say that. But yeah, I'm just curious where we're going with the MCU always having to one-up itself and how long you can continually one-up yourself and where do you go with that? Yeah, eventually you got to catch your breath. So again,
I mean, that's all been announced now, by the way, since we did that review. Like
it's all been announced.
The two Avengers films that we're working towards and what's happening. And
sure, okay, but it's all been announced, but does it explain... sorry. Not that it needs to be explained from a narrative or story perspective per se, but just what are we doing here? Again, with Carl saying like always kind of one-upping itself. At some point, the intensity is just kind of getting out of hand, and where are we going? Like, what's going to be the next big thing? So I didn't enjoy the film, and I'm skeptical of where the MCU is at these days, I suppose.
Okay.
But I will say, good for Carl for stumping Brady ×3 on trivia. I was sad Brady made the trivia sound for Carl, but not me. And the leg caressing reference was definitely there. And it made it into this episode too, so I think that's an ongoing gag from this point on.
I think it has to be, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That is where I will cap things off with what I watched. What did you watch this past undisclosed amount of time?
Also, now you're still one behind. As of today, Thor: Love and Thunder is on.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll skip
on Disney
ahead.
Plus.
So, okay. I have seen Thor: Love and Thunder. I saw it in theaters. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
It's not good.
It was awful. It made Thor: The Dark World move over for one of the worst spots in the MCU.
Oh, and Thor: The Dark World is still worse.
It's still worse, but it's in the same breath.
Yeah.
I will say this. Where I have a problem with the MCU in that it's a little too convoluted, a little too weird, and I've described it again, so I won't repeat myself. I thought the breath of fresh air was, okay, we've got Taika Waititi here. At least he's the captain of our ship. He's not running the whole MCU ship, but he's got this branch of Thor, and just do with it what he will, and at least we can have that. I've now come to the conclusion that Thor Ragnarok, which is one of my favorite MCU films, still iconic, still flawless for me in some ways, that was not a sign of things to come with his involvement in the MCU. It was a flash in the pan. It was a great moment, and that was it. Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe I wasn't in the right headspace. I had some things going on in my life at the time, but man, what a somber film. It had its light moments, but man, was it dark, and it wasn't forgiving, and it was just had some story narrative parts too that I just felt like, okay, I guess this is where we're going. This is a choice. It's not a good choice, but it's a choice. So yeah, I have done my homework, and I've been said I've done it.
Okay. All right.
What have you watched?
Now you just have like 36 shows to.
Well, actually, no, I haven't watched them.
Yeah. So I watched I watched a bunch of things, and I've written down the ones I can remember, because I'm sure in that period of time there's probably films that I am not remembering of. I rewatched Super Size Me, the documentary that we all watched in school as kids. Yeah. It's definitely dated. Like it's still entertaining and still interesting, but it's definitely, you're like, oh, okay, well, a lot of this is not factually accurate anymore because of changes, A, that just simply happen over time, and B, that happened as a result of this documentary. So it's interesting to go back and see the way things were. I watched Grown Ups 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
I was like really bored. So it's just like, okay. Grown Ups 1 was actually very funny and very entertaining. Grown Ups 2 was a huge swing and a miss. Like, it had none of the charm of the first one.
Yeah.
So
I remember the first one. I haven't seen it in 5-10 years, but I do remember the first one being a hoot, the second one being a mute.
Then I was kind of on an Adam Sandler kick, so I watched Pixels, which is, I think, an underappreciated Adam Sandler movie. Adam Sandler, Josh Gad, Peter Dinklage, Kevin James. Kevin James plays the president of the United States. It's like, it's interesting, though. If you haven't seen it, it's worth I'm bored and have nothing else to put on kind of watch. I watched the new Elvis biopic. Yeah,
okay.
The Tom Hanks, Austin Butler thing.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Okay.
Really liked it.
How well, like, roughly, where would you give it out of 10?
Like an 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah.
Can I ask if you had to pick like a higher or lower, which film is higher or lower, Great Gatsby or Elvis?
I mean, I wasn't crazy on Great Gatsby, so
Sure.
like I would put it definitely higher than Great Gatsby. But I don't know for sure if you would.
Sure. And obviously for the listener who probably is aware as well, but like same director and same type of like iconic Americana, greatest American novel, greatest American singer, performer. So like I feel like there's some similarities, and I'm obviously Great Gatsby is very near and dear to me. So that's why I ask, and that's a very interesting point.
Yeah. And then finally, I went and saw a movie in the theater.
Oh, yeah. Well, where? What was it?
It was the third time I've watched this movie in the theater.
Oh, I know what it is.
But the first time in quite a while.
Oh, I know exactly what it is.
I went and watched No Way Home.
Yeah, okay.
But for those who don't know, No Way Home was re-released, but it's not the version that we all watched months and months and months ago. It's like 15 minutes longer. Like it's an extended cut.
Huh.
Yeah. So I went and watched No Way Home again.
And?
It's so good, man. It's so good.
Now, it itself, or it's better because of the 15 minutes? Like, weigh in on that.
Some of the additional scenes were just kind of whatever. But there's a lot more like Toby and Andrew stuff.
Ooh.
Like specifically around like the conversation where they're trying to, when they're at the Statue of Liberty and they're like grilling Toby about his organic web shooters. And it's just so funny.
Oh.
It's so funny. Yeah.
That's cool.
No, it's good, man. It was good. Cool. It was well worth it.
What I'll say, and I've got some Top Gun Maverick pamphlets to drop at your door later if you have some time to talk about Scientology. I remember watching Spider-Man No Way Home in the theater, and I remember who I saw it with and what I did with that person. But I remember
you got a little gropey.
I remember being blown away by that film. Like that at the time, coming out of like in our region, things were closed in the pandemic, and at that point then it was like things were opening up so we could go in theaters again. And so not only could I see something in theaters, but I could see this iconic film that made it like top 6 worldwide gross. So, it was an amazing movie going experience, and I still like the film. I watched it a couple months later and at home, and still a good film, but the shine had worn off a bit. And I think like if I had given it a 9 when I saw it in theaters, it was an 8 when I saw it at home. So still great. I still teared up, but like cooler heads prevailed, and I said, okay, great film, but it was, it wasn't as perfect as I remembered it. Top Gun Maverick.
That's still respectable, though.
Still respectable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying Top Gun Maverick. And I was hypercritical of it when it came out. But between when I saw it the first time in the theaters and the second time in theaters, and now months later when I've seen it at home. So that's from like May till now where we're looking at September. So that's like 5 months. 5 months have passed. And it has gained in scoring out of 10 and not dropped an ounce of the intensity and the visual pleasure of just the color tones and the visuals of the planes and the skylines. That movie, it's just a testament to that movie that although No Way Home is still good, it just didn't quite hold up as much as I thought. Top Gun Maverick did hold up as much as I thought and more. Like
yeah. It's
I watched it for the third time, and I'm already ready to watch it again.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm there.
Wrap this thing up, sir. I have to pee.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. We are happy to be back making content again. We took our bit of a hiatus, and we are ready to be back at it. Check out our socials below. Please like, follow, subscribe. Please give a comment and a like on the episode post. We love hearing from you. It gives us a kick. You can also DM us on Facebook. That's probably the best way to contact us. If you have to say, hey, I've got an undisclosed amount of money, how best do we give it to you, Brady and Peter? Check out our Patreon page, merchandise page. We've got some new merch, some revitalized merch, thanks to our friend of the show, Andrew. And check out the Patreon page. As always, it's ways for you to help support the show and ways for us to help you back. I guess I'll give a shout out to 2 specific Patreon supporters this month. We'll give the rest of the shout outs later on. But shout out to Carl, who I think True Lies was his voting option. And I'll give a shout out to Adam, because I can't remember if it was his voting option or not. He had a couple. But if not, he definitely voted for it too. So those individuals will get shout outs, and we thank you, and we thank you all for your support. So thank you very much. And until next time, when we talk about insert blank, we look forward to talking to you, and that's where you can edit in what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. With Microsoft Sam's voice.
Yeah, human centipede. Yeah.